tonight, the ground attack in Gaza and its impact right here in the QCA. Israel's offensive against Hamas militants in Gaza has entered day 2. Israeli troops and tanks moving around Gaza City and a major Palestinian refugee camp. As the operation has widened, the number of casualties has grown. The Israeli military has suffered its first fatality. The Palestinian death toll since the aerial attacks began over a week ago is now at 500. Israel says the goal is to stop rocket fire aimed at the southern part of the country, but spiraling casualties among Palestinians have fueled an international outcry, and supporters on both sides here in the QCA are speaking out as well. KWQC's Jacqueline Rosti joins us now live in the newsroom with more on that part of the story.
Elizabeth, as fighting continues, American Palestinians watch the bloodshed in their home country continue. President of a group called Americans and Palestinians for Peace, or Ampal, says the U.S. is the only third party who could bring peace. That's if they say the U.S. government was neutral.
It's simply a Holocaust against Palestinian people.
Far from the Middle East, American Palestinians watch the terror unfold.
This is a different station. It's called the Al-Arabiya.
John DeBeat is president of a group called Americans and Palestinians for Peace and has spent years fighting for a resolution.
We lobby Congress members, whether Senate or House, and we almost hear the same thing all the time. So we are looking for a change, and a real change in the United States.
DeBeat says the U.S. government led by President Bush strongly supports Israel.
Unless you are an even-handed and objective broker of peace, nothing will be achieved in that area.
On Saturday night, the U.S. blocked approval of a UN Security Council statement calling for an immediate ceasefire. DeBeat says the move only further proves his position.
And for me, and for everyone in the Middle East, people look at President Bush as a war criminal, and as a war criminal who sided with Israel all the time and give them the green light to continue to kill more and more Palestinians.
He says the situation is escalating and more innocent civilians are getting hit in the crossfire.
Imagine all these bombs and bullets and rockets and all that stuff that they are throwing every second on people, and imagine the fear on the faces of kids.
And as DeBeat reads and watches more news reports,
the beginning of the second week of the big massacre against Palestinians,
he only hopes change will come when the U.S. inaugurates a new leader. DeBeat says his group is already rallying President-elect Obama to deal with the conflict in the Middle East in a different matter. Live in the newsroom, Jacqueline Rosti, KWQC, TV6 News.
A local rabbi agrees the violence needs to stop. Rabbi Henry Karp of Temple Emmanuel in Davenport says families on both sides of the conflict are suffering. He says the Israelis and Hamas need to sit down and talk about peace. And he says if Hamas won't agree to that, the Palestinian people need to demand it.
There's suffering there, and there's tragedy there, and it comes as a result of the decisions and the actions of Hamas. Somewhere along the line, the Palestinian people have to take ownership of their own fate, and they have to say, stop.
Rabbi Karp agrees the U.S. should help with peace negotiations, but says it should not get involved in any military action. Fire claims the life of a Quad Cities